Welcome to Aim in Practice. My name is Jess Reynolds and I'm your host. And in this podcast, we talk about life as a wellness practitioner, health in general, and what it means to practice. Today, I talk with Dryden. Dryden is a massage therapist who has focused his career on what he calls assessment-based practice, which essentially means he treats every single client only after doing a thorough assessment. I find this conversation particularly interesting because that's a challenging niche to get into. As somebody who has taught orthopedic assessment for years, I know the practical challenges of trying to incorporate it into every single session, and he's managed to do so very successfully. So this is a great conversation when we talk about the challenges involved in building your brand, building your company. We talk about how to use social media and TikTok, because he has a phenomenal TikTok channel. We'll leave links in the show notes. But it's a great conversation, and I hope you enjoy.
Jump right into it. Let's go.
Do it. Cool. Yeah, well, welcome. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat. So, Dryden, why don't you first just introduce yourself, a little bit about your background and what got you into massage?
Okay. Yeah. My name's Dryden. Nice to meet you. I'm from Regina, Saskatchewan. I call myself an assessment-based massage therapist, but just a massage therapist that mainly does assessments for their clients rather than relaxation or general treatments or any kind of other modality. That's just kind of what I practice mainly. What got me into massage? A lot of people, I remember this vividly when I was sitting in class. It's like the first day of class, and you're sitting there, and people are telling their stories. This is why I got into massage. And a lot of people is, I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people. And I wish my story was really similar to that. It kind of got into that like really quickly once I started practicing. But the reason why I got into massage was my wife works for the government. She has a stressful job. I wanted to find something that could equal out the kind of balance out the stress in the house. And I was like, oh, massage therapy would be great. I can sit there and massage to some comfortable music, and the hours would be great. You make more and work less. So there could be more fluctuation and flexibility with my schedule. So that I got into it for a lot of more selfish reasons, I guess. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And yeah.
That's awesome. I really like that. That's great.
And I don't know if it's like this for a lot of people when they get into massage. And I hear this from a lot of clients that they don't really know what massage is. So they'll get into it thinking, oh, I'm going to go into this and it's going to be like a spa treatment. I'm going to learn that, and then it's going to be easy, and then I'm going to get out, and then I'm going to go do this, and it's going to be simple. And then because some provinces have different courses where it's like a 10-month course versus a 2-year 22-hour program versus maybe 1,100 hours or less than that maybe. So you get into it, and the first couple of weeks you're like, oh, this is nice. You get into class and you're massaging each other, and then after a couple of weeks, when you start going into more physiology, pathology, and like kinesiology, and the actual theory of the practice, and you're like, oh, and then you start learning the anatomy. So like the first word you learn the semimembranosus, right? Attached to the distal tuberosity, and you're like, you spend a whole day learning that one word, and then the next, I think it's like the next day even you go in and like, okay, now it's the semitendinosus and the biceps femoris longhand.
Totally, yeah.
And you're like, I don't know if I could do this. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah, that was a long intro. That's that's what I do.
No, I dig it big time. And so having taught for a long time, and I taught A&P and I usually taught the second year courses. So I was involved in 2,200 and 3,000 hour courses. And I mean, that's like the story. People get into massage for whatever reason they got there, but once they get into massage, they're like, whoa, what's with all of this learning? I thought it was just some skin polishing and making people feel good. But I think that's an interesting thing, right? Like the people getting into massage are unaware of the extent of the education, let alone the general public. Like how many people in the general public think our job is to be, and I heard you say this in the past, a masseur or a masseuse, right? Like it's just this fluffy, but it's not, right? Like it's rigorous education, particularly in Canada, where I don't know of any programs that are less than 2,200 hours now. Like it's serious stuff.
Yeah, I like how you said masseur and masseuse, because a lot of clients, they'll say like, oh yeah, my masseuse. And I'll say, well, like if you're going to use that term, at least use masseur. And they go, why? And I said, well, it's the difference between like a female and male massage.
Totally, yeah.
I think the only reason I know that is like métis, so I'm half French and I speak fluent French. For me, it clicked right away, but some people, they don't know. So it's educating, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a good way of interjecting, right? Because how many massage therapists who have dedicated 2 years of their life to the education, I don't know any that are happy about being called a masseuse or masseur, and everybody's like, "Excuse me, I'm a registered massage therapist or a license." So I really like that interjection. Just it's a little bit more playful the way you say it, like, technically it's masseur, and then that
Yeah,
opens the conversation, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I like
cool.
it. And then, yeah, I guess when you get out of college, and one of the things that people tend to, and for myself mainly, was that you it's so hard, like it's so hard in the college. Like when you graduate, you have this sense of like pride. You're like, that was really hard. I'm glad I'm done. I go out and I could do these assessments. And a lot of times they'll get into a situation or an environment where it doesn't foster the continued education portion of it. And then it's that use it or lose it principle, and then it's gone, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I think that, and then for myself, I guess what I was getting to with that is you take it more seriously than it might need to be sometimes. As you said, I'm more playful with it now. Because like my friends do like poke fun and stuff, and before I'd be like, no, this is serious. But now I'm like, it's okay. Like I understand that there's this misconception, and some people don't understand, but it's always nice to, and I think that's why I use the social media aspect of it too,
Mm-hmm.
is that education of people. But and you say like popular in there, I struggle so hard on just trying
Really?
to, and like it's the self-doubt, and I was thinking about it in the shower today actually. Talking about it in the shower, I was in the shower today and I was thinking about it, and I was like, all you can talk about and all you can do is what you've been taught. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like you don't want to go out of scope. Like so, like if you've been in college and you learned these things, and you took the courses and you passed the courses, like that's, and you took continued education, or you studied and you've done research on it. Like I guess if you don't know anything else, then that's all you can talk about. So, and I'm
Mm.
comfortable talking about what I know. It's just a lot of times, and maybe when you get into this profession, the clients will start asking you about things you don't know, and,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's where you have to put your kind of like put the brakes on and say, okay, this is way out of scope for me. Like this is something you can
Mm-hmm.
healthcare practitioner about. I'm still interested about it. Like, so keep me updated, and like maybe do a Google search about it afterwards. But it's
Yeah.
not like I took a course on it. So
Yeah, I appreciate that mindset, and I always find it interesting how within massage therapy, I consider massage therapy to be kind of like the entry point for a lot of people into the realm of wellness. Like some people will be 10 years between going to the dentist or their family doctor or whatever, but they'll go to a massage therapist, and particularly when people are through a 2200-hour program, a lot. However, the scope of practice is like worth a 600-hour program, which is fascinating. There's like this discontinuity between the amount of education and what massage therapists are allowed to do. So I really appreciate that. It's like you're aware of the boundaries with scope of practice. And also, I pretty much always touch those boundaries in my own practice, right? Like now, as a doctor of Chinese medicine, I've got a bigger scope, but when I am practicing as a massage therapist, it's like, how close can I get to these professional boundaries of what I am and not allowed to say? Because so many people rely on their massage therapist for advice, be it nutritional advice. Of course, we're not allowed to give it, or like they're just unloading emotionally, right? So that's a big thing for me is like the continuing education that I like to take and I like to teach. It's like developing all those other skills that you need that aren't just the hands-on stuff.
yeah, I think one of the things I'll touch on what you said too is like kind of going to the border of your scope, right? And I think a lot of other practitioners in other fields also do the similar thing. So like I talk a lot about, or I hear a lot about like a physiotherapist where they're doing some massage, or whether it be grafting or dry needling, and you know it's within scope on the blurred lines of some of the things that they do, but it's all accepted, and they're all healthcare professionals. Do you know what I mean? So I try
Hmm.
not to
Hmm.
talk about things that I don't know a lot about. So I'm just giving my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
um,
dig it. I dig it. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Let's talk about something that you are quite familiar with, and this is a passion of mine as well, which is assessment-based practice.
Mhm.
A huge part of what I do teach is orthopedic assessment and how to do so. And there's a bunch of different directions we could take this conversation. But where I'd kind of like to start is So you touched on it before. It's like we take all this education, and then when we actually get into practice, it's not quite the same, like you learn all of these assessment techniques and how to do a really detailed orthopedic assessment. But then you get into the majority of clinics out there and people are just like, I don't, just let me on the table, let me relax. So could you tell me a little bit about how you started to incorporate more assessment into your practice and how you've built a practice that's based around assessment?
Yeah. Yeah. eh, I'll start by saying anybody that's looking to go against like the grain and go against like the normal way that things are kind of done, just be like kind of expect for it to be more of a struggle. Like, because it could have been a lot easier just not going on the path that I've went on, being in some of the clinics where or surrounded by peers or other massage therapists where maybe they don't have the same opinions as yourself. And I think that's where a lot of like the self doubt will come in. But like the bread is in the pudding, as they say. Like your clients get the results, and they're the ones that speak for you. So if you're busy and people are getting like major relief of muscle pain, and you're helping people like with their careers, and they're the ones that are doing the referrals for you, like that kind of speaks for itself, right? So you gotta,
Mhm.
but you also have to make sure that you're being ethical. And I think like that's one of the biggest things for myself is like being ethical. And I think that's what the college that I was at, they talked about being ethical. So when you're thinking about assessment based massage therapy versus general massage treatments for like stress, for example, when you're treating so if I have a client that comes in, I had this last week, where if you have a client that comes in and you're in the middle of like a progressive treatment plan, and you can tell they're just having a really bad day, and they're like they know that you want to continue doing the assessments, and they've done their stretches and stuff, and or their recovery program, and but at the same time they're like, listen, and I'm like, listen, let's do a relaxation massage. The lights will go off, we'll change the tone of the music, and I'm not going to talk, right? So you can get into your head and relax like your parasympathetic nervous system, and you can really
Mhm.
stress. So when we talk about assessment based massage therapy and how I got into it, when I first started, this is a pretty crazy story. So I tell it often, and stop me if you've already heard it on the other podcast. But
Oh, dig in.
so yeah, so it was my first week into massage therapy practice, and for anybody that's going to college right now, or anybody that's about to graduate or in the middle of the program, you have this thought where it's like, I have to start massaging people, and then I have to charge the money for it. And like, am I worth that money that I'm charging them? So you're already nervous about that at the beginning of the massage week when you start, right? So I get into this place and I'm nervous, like I said. So I'm nervous, but I'm doing everything I was taught. So I'm doing, the F-the-Ros, petrissage, frictions. I'm going through all the assessments in my mind, palpating and stuff. And as the week goes on, I start doing, incorporating more assessments. Or what the teacher taught me at the college is, if you have somebody and when you're starting, you're not as busy. So if you have spare time after your massage and they have spare time as well, say, hey, do you mind if I give you 15 minutes extra on your massage and just do like 10 minutes of assessments before it starts? And they're
I
like,
see.
not at all. So then you can practice your assessments, whether it be before or after. If you can get, like, sometimes I went over half hour on a treatment just so I could do 10 minutes before and then reassessing afterwards so I can see the change in the body. So I started incorporating a lot of that, and then I started getting busier. And I remember a person got booked in with me, and they were referred to by like a medical practitioner. So like whether it be a GM, general practitioner, GP,
Mhm.
general
Yeah.
practitioner, doctor, or whatever. And he came in with unilateral. So I'm going to talk jargon right now, but like
Oh,
he came
jump.
in
Yeah.
with like unilateral tightness, heat and swelling in the lower calf on one of his calves. Okay, and he has a
Okay.
profession where he could be on. I'm trying to not give any personal information away. So they have a profession where they could like be on their feet a lot, right? That's broad, right? But anyways, so they come in and they're like, I got referred to get this massage. I picked you because you're a male. And I was like, okay, I do my assessments, and right away in my mind, and like in scope, I can't diagnose somebody with something. But in my
Mhm.
mind, right away, I'm thinking DVT, right? I'm thinking deep vein thrombosis, right? And it's crazy because you learn about this in college, but when you actually see it and you like put your fingers into it and it's like stayed indented and it's like warm to the touch, like hot, and it's so unilateral. So one sided, for people that don't know that means one side, like it's crazy different. And you're like, I can't massage this.
Mm,
And yeah, the
mm-hmm.
first time like refusing treatment and being like, you need to go like speak to like another like healthcare professional that can like properly diagnose this. And then so we refused treatment, and I think like from my I got brass for this later on while working there, but from my like previous sales um employment, like I have this like pitch of like you have to come back for like a follow-up or treatment. So like I was doing that with all my clients, and I still do that like now, like you come see me next week, and then until they're fixed, the problem's resolved or we have a progression. But so I get him to come in the following week because I want to know what's happening. So I send him away. I don't massage him. And so he comes back the following week, and it is twice as bad. It's crazy bad. And he's like, I'm sorry, I keep saying uh, they they say, listen, we're going out of town, going to be going to the lake house with the family, so we need to make sure that like this gets resolved. So just massage it. And I was like, well, have you been to the doctors? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, like when are you leaving? They're like, in 2 hours. I was like, well, then use this time to go to the hospital right now. So, and the rest of the story here is from my interpretation because I'm not him and I didn't do all of this, but this is the way I tell the story. And then like the rest comes back and then it's person. But from what I remember and what they said, they went to the hospital, but they didn't get the results back. And then so they may not have left their cell phone number, but they went to their lake house. And then at 3 a.m. they woke up and they had like shortness of breath. And so they called the hospital, and the hospital was like, your results are in. Like, you do have a DVT, but it's already broken off. So it's like called like an infraction.
If it goes into the heart, yeah, or
Yeah,
into the
it goes
brain, it's
into
an
the lungs.
infarction,
It
yeah.
goes into the lungs, yeah. And then into the heart, right? So it's in the lungs at this point, is what they're saying.
Oh,
Lungs. And so at any point, and that's why he has that shortness of breath, at any point he can have a pulmonary embolism. So they rushed him
jeez.
to one of the close hospitals, and I'm not a doctor, so this is the part where I have no clue. Like they give him a decoagulating drug
Yeah.
or something or venous. I have no idea what they did, but they did something to make it better, right? And it went away. It breaks up everything before it gets into the heart. So I remember first week into practice, right? And so I remember going in, and I get a call from the owner of the clinic, and they're like, "Yeah, somebody wants to like come in and see you. Like they need to talk to you about something. Like you saved their life." And I was like, "Uh, okay." So I go in, and it's the family, and they're like, we just got back from like the will office, and like we haven't even filled out wills and stuff. Like you saved our family. And I was like, well, cool.
Ah,
I was thinking like, man, there's this, and like all throughout college, anybody that's been to college with me, like I'm sorry for everything you had to deal with. Like I took it so seriously. Like I
mm,
took it way too seriously, and I think my wife like could attest to that. Like I took the assessment seriously. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to use this stuff. I found it so interesting. I think anatomy is so cool, how like the origin and the insertion, when they like contract, they create movement. And I think that that's super cool, and incorporating that into massage is the coolest
mm,
thing ever. Like it's super cool, right? Sorry, I'm getting
yeah.
but like yeah, so I was like, okay, so there's a place for, so I started like doing a lot of assessments. And then so clients would like be leaving from other therapists in the clinic. Bless that clinic's heart. I won't say their name. But anyways, they'd be leaving, and they would, it's funny because I talked to one of the other therapists that work there, and they're like, we heard you talk about, but we understand, like you agree, we agree. And I was like, yeah. But so anyways, they would leave, and then my clients would be like, wow, you really resolved my issue. Like I have so much more movement in this area, or I haven't moved like this in 10 years. And like, whereas they're saying like, oh, do I feel better? It's like, oh, I still kind of feel it. Like, okay, we'll just come back every week or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then you would see the following week that they would book in with me. So I started to get really busy. So it was nice because when you start massaging, it's always evenings, weekends, sitting by the phone, showing up to the clinic, doing whatever you got to do to get that clientele list built up. That's what they tell you. So that's what you do. And I was working there 9 months, and COVID hit
Mm.
because I
So it was just
graduated.
fresh into your career, right?
Yeah. And like I was planning my wedding. I had a 2-year-old kid, a son, my son, he's 6 now. But I had a 2-year-old kid, and I was like, yeah, like I'm working weekdays now. I get my weekends off, more family balance. That's why I talked about a lot about like balance, like getting weekends off. Before COVID hit, like you had the opportunity to like create balance in your life for a little bit, right? But then COVID hit, and you know, I think from doing a lot of the assessments in the clinic, and this is just speculation because like I didn't like go into it with them, but I think from doing a lot of the assessments and like separating myself, I had a really, really, really small. So like when I did my assessments, like they were really small. And when I did my stretches and stuff, I went into the hallway. So people would walk past a lot and see me doing the assessments, and they're probably like, what does this guy do? Why is he showing
Yeah.
them stretches, and why is he educating the client with anatomical charts and stuff like that? So maybe that created a stain, maybe it was personal, but they parted ways with me like 3 days before the lockdown. So
Mm.
so I was left with like without employment, and I had another. I was already looking at like other options just in case, but I had somebody else reach out to me, but they offered me something like because you always have those percentages, right? Am I
Yep.
rambling? Can I keep
No,
going?
no, no.
Yeah.
You're on a
Okay.
roll. I got
Yeah.
some
Okay.
mental points I want to
Yeah.
backtrack to, but
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So people will get like 70, 30, 65, 35, talking percentages when you start, whether you
yeah.
have a cap or you do a room rent or whatever, right? So I was on a 65, 35 with 1500 cap on the clinic I was at, and I was going to switch to a 70, 30 and then a 90, 10 second year, third year. And then so it was pretty good with a rent of 700. So it was a pretty good plan. The other place offered me like something like 45, 55 or something like,
Mhm.
and I was like, no. And then so I came home and my wife's like, what are we gonna do? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, we're gonna sit on it for a minute. I got my resume ready. A couple places offered me some like chiropractic places in the
Yep.
city positions. And I told my wife, I said, you know what, like COVID's on right now. Like who knows when things are gonna open up. We own our own like townhome, so we have like a cement basement. So I went on YouTube. When the clinic that we're in right now, you can see it a lot of my videos on TikTok. I built this clinic throughout COVID lockdown. It's a 10 by 12 room. Went and like looked at doctors' offices on what tone of white that they use for doctors' offices. It's
Cool. Yeah.
by the way. Uh, and then yeah, like hanging, tried to make it look super professional. I put my
Yeah.
anatomical parts up,
Oh,
everything.
nice. Yeah, it looks like
So
proper clinic space, right?
I just ended up upgrading to a hydraulic like lift table. Yeah, so
Mhm.
those are game changers. I would say anybody that's starting, get them the day you start. It's gonna save your shoulders. It's gonna be the difference from being able to do like 2, 3 massages and feeling your shoulders and doing like 6 and 7 and not feeling
Yeah.
anything. Really good for it, as you probably know. But yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I'll let you touch back because I rambled on
Yeah,
there.
like I do want to. I want to loop back to
Yeah,
the some of the assessment stuff because one of the points that you made I find to be absolutely true, and it has to do with the type of practitioner a person wants to become, right? Like it sounds from a pretty early on in your education, you knew, or at least had an intuition that you were going to be taking it pretty seriously and maybe more inclined to deal with more dysfunctional issues and injuries than relaxation.
yeah,
Um, and just caveat where I'm going to say it once and then leave it is I cannot speak highly enough about relaxation. If I
yeah,
get to choose between getting a therapeutic massage or orthopedic massage, and I'm choosing relaxation 100% of the time, even if I know I need that. They're like, love it, great. So now that caveat is out of the way, let's talk more specifically about the direction that you went in. One thing that I teach often whenever I'm teaching orthopedic assessment is a very simple fact. It's a saying. Most of my students know it. I should get it tattooed on my chest, but it's if you don't know what the problem is, you can't fix it, right? Obvious. And that's the thing is people come in for a massage largely because they want relaxation, but inevitably they're like, yeah, I got this thing with my neck or my shoulder or my hip or whatever. And if you know even like the most rudimentary orthopedic assessment skills, not even like this full process where you take them through the whole thing, but just the most basic assessment, you can actually identify the dysfunction. Now, my experience has been if we can kind of blend these two, which it sounds like you do, right? Blend the fact that people really do just like that relaxation, right? With really understanding why injuries occur and how to identify them and actually fixing them. And what a difference, right? Like, no wonder you're a fully booked therapist
yeah.
because you're combining these two. And I'm sure you're attracting a lot more people who want that blend, right?
Yeah, and I think like one thing about that too is like we have that hour, right? Like
Mhm.
and like it's you there's the hour, 45 minute 30. People generally book the hour. And if it was up to me, and it like I guess if it wasn't up to me, I guess like it would be super fun if you could do like 20-minute, 30-minute massages and people were okay. If the public had that mindset of massage where it's like come in, assessment, treat specific muscles, see if there's chain stretches, go. Like
Yeah.
quick in and out massages. That would be cool, but like that's not what we have. There's, in my opinion, for myself, like I can never blame a client that doesn't have the education to know like what should be expected in the first place. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? I think a lot of back to like what I felt like as a client when I didn't go to massage therapy college, and I think that's why I got into, as you said, like a lot more assessment based. I remember going to massages when I had like really bad like muscle dysfunctional pain and like not having any assessments done and then just having the area just beaten up like bad. And there's
Hmm.
like, a couple moments there where I'm like, that feels good, when you think like a knot is a thing and you think it's about to break up and you jam your back in the door and stuff like that. And like, but I would
Yeah.
leave appointments and be like, what did I just waste my money on? And I think like
Yeah.
that's where a lot of my passion drives from is like, I want people to have this understanding that like, there's this whole muscle relief that they could have if like assessments can be done. And like for myself, I do assessments, and I don't know a lot of people in my city that also do assessments. I don't even think I'm the best at assessments. Like I feel like I could. There's a lot more continued education that I could do, a lot more learning that I could do. The dream, and I think like I admire what you're doing. The dream is to have a fully booked clinic where I've been able to like kind of foster an environment for massage therapists when they graduate from the college to come into an assessment based environment, and then they can help more people by having that clinic opened. And then
Hmm.
once I have that time to like just go hard into like the continued education, whether it be like you said, building those continued education courses. I looked at your website, very nice, very well
Well,
done.
thank you.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like the profile building, the bios. I took a couple strategical planning courses, a couple digital marketing courses, and I'm currently
Yeah.
taking another one at the Jelly Academy right now. I took a three hour course last night. It was nice, but um, and they talk about like how to build a website and all of these things. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, it's nice, clean cut. I think like making the booking easy is the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
See what you're offering, super easy. Just complimenting you. I don't give a
Yeah,
fuck.
let's actually talk about that a little bit because I did see it up when I was kind of reading some of the stuff that you're into and getting into is I think that's an underrated skill for massage therapists because quite frankly, in the moment you leave a clinic, a chiro clinic or a spa, whatever, and you're on your own, you need a website. That's just how it goes. And what I've found is hiring somebody to build a website that's very specific to massage or any type of wellness industry. It's a crapshoot because that's kind of a special area, right? So maybe you and I could just kind of riff a little bit of what you think makes a booking website for a massage therapist kind of primo. You mentioned a couple things like easy to book, right? My opinion is like the booking should be there should be a button at the top and a button in the middle. Like if it's a one page thing, you got to have like a million buttons. No matter how, if they scroll once, there should be a button. There should not be hard to find the book button. What else do you think is important on those web page to make it primo?
Yeah, so I remember listening to this one blog about it, and they talked about not having like just multi pages is a big thing. Like having some, but I'll digress a little bit. I'll get into that after. The biggest thing, like the one page, making it easy to book in. So when you can see the prices, you can see the booking. I know a lot of times when people want to book in, they've already made their mind that they want to book in. So it's like let them book in. So like have it easy, get the prices, book in, and then for the process of booking in, don't make it this impossible road where if they don't have their credit card on them or if they don't have this certain information, they can't book in. Like make it so that they can pull out their phone. The mobile is super important, has to be super
Yeah.
mobile friendly. Um, uh, Pull it out, make sure everything works properly, go back and forth meticulously because it takes a long time if you're building your own website as well. Um, yeah, make it easy. I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people say when they book in with me. It's super easy, super
Yeah.
convenient. One of the things that I want to start working on right now, because there's so many things that you have to attach into it, and I think you would know with the website too. You have your website. I use Wix.
Hmm.
I know they have their own booking system and everything like that, but I use Notero for my booking
Great.
system. They offer a great discount to a lot of massage therapists as well. I think I pay $18.11 for
Yeah.
monthly. which is great. If you want to add on the direct billing portion, it's $15 extra a month. But I just go through the portals like TELUS Health
Yeah.
or Blue Cross or Cooperators or Green Shield or whatever it may be. And I find that be just as simple. You just put the whatever insurance provider for your booking or for your accountant and stuff like that afterwards, so they can see what comes in. So your books are good. Yeah. Anyway, so I use Wix for that, and then Notero for that, and then MailChimp I think is like one of the best ones that you could do. I'm thinking about getting into like some really good email marketing, right?
Yeah.
There is a lot of like emails that come with Notero, like after your appointment or reminders, whatever it may be, review or give me a Google review. But when you can create a good email marketing campaign attached to a website,
Yeah.
what the digital marketing thing was talking about last night is it's nice to have, and like I feel blessed, as I say, for like the social media following that I have, because a lot of it is local, and so a lot of it does revert back to clientele's booking in. So I do see that like cash value. They say you don't make money off TikTok. I was like, well, actually, like when people book in and they already know me, if somebody doesn't if they're not comfortable going into a place they don't know, they can already get to know me through my videos and then come in. But the problem with that is that those companies own you at that point. So whether it be like Facebook, where
You got it.
they will cap your reach if you're not a paid advertiser. So at some point you can't get as far reach, and they can do that because they're a private business. Whereas
Yeah, I think like rule one with the social media is like produce content. Rule number two, get them off of social media and onto your newsletter list as soon as possible.
So do you, I guess, can I ask yourself, do you make
Oh yeah.
email marketing? Do you outsource that to somebody else? For myself, everything has been done by myself. Like
I do it all. I've done everything from the beginning. Just now I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to hire out more and more things, but everything from building the website to filming and editing courses to writing and doing like 100% one-man team for a long time. But slowly starting to shift into as my business grows. Fortunately, I'm able to kind of cut back on some of the technical stuff that takes a lot of time and work on some more of the higher strategic stuff.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I could touch base on with somebody, whenever I do these podcasts, I think about what if somebody's listening, and I had people come back to me and tell me like, I heard your podcast and so and so. If somebody's listening, what can they learn from me, right? How can I help it and make it easier for someone else to get into the path that I'm doing? And I say, man, I listen to your story and like, oh, it must be nice, eh? And I'll say that from the outside, I bet you're like, oh, you have no idea what it's like, right? Like on the inside of things, right? So it always looks better on the outside, as people say to myself as well. And it's a crazy story and it's always fun. But yeah, congratulations on the things that you're doing. Whenever I set things up, when I look at creating a plan, when I think about the business, I think about it as like a fully running business, and everything that you do has to work well. And if you're going to do something, somebody told me this back in the day, and I keep it to heart, but they say, like, don't start something unless you're going to finish it, unless you're going to continue it, like unless you're going to do it the full start. So don't even like plan it, but don't start it until you're ready. Sometimes, right? Like until you know that you can do it. So whether it be like you're doing blogs, which is really nice, right? But it's, don't put out one blog and then never put out another blog after that. Set things up. But what I was getting to, I rambled. What I was getting to, the programs that I pick, anything that's integrated, I want it to integrate well with each other. I also want it to have the opportunity to expand. Because if you're creating a business, for myself, it's LePay Massage Therapy, rather than calling it Dryden Benoit Massage, which won't cost anything extra to get that name licensed. But when you do it under a business, it costs extra and it's an extra step to take. But when you do that, you take yourself out of the brand, and then the brand starts creating this image of like LePay does assessment. So when you create a staff, somebody that works under LePay, they have this. That's why you have to be really firm with your morals and standards and say, like, this is what we do at LePay, this is what we offer. And then when people come in, they look for that. So you can expand. So for Notero, there's the option. It's like one practitioner costs this much, but you have the option to go to that. And it should be as easy as just click over to those when you do expand. So think about that when you're building your programs.
Have you ever read the book, The E-Myth Revisited?
I don't read a lot of books.
Okay. No, the reason I ask is
right now, but yeah.
it's like I read a fair amount of business books, and if you talk to any of my former students, one of the other things that I say like 10 times in class is there's this really great book, Chronic Reader. But one of the best business books I have ever read is called the E-Myth Revisited, and it actually talks a lot about these concepts you're discussing. Is when you build a business, is he talks about the principle of franchising. Is even if you never plan on franchising, build your business as if you're going to franchise from day one, because then you treat it like a business, not like an extension of yourself. And I certainly appreciate the fact that when you first started doing your own thing, you jumped right into this is a business. This isn't Dryden doing massage. This is Dryden as an employee of the business LePay. And what a huge difference that makes. And I think that's a hard step for a lot of people to make in the beginning. One, thinking of a name is hard. Two, and I want to talk to you about your name after. Thinking of a name is hard. Two, money. Like money is an obstacle when people start out. And one bit of advice I would give pretty much anybody starting out is get a small business loan if you have to. The expenses might seem large, $200 to register your business, $20 a month to get Notaro, $20 a month. Like it might seem like, oh man, all of a sudden I'm at through $150 a month in order to run my business. And it's like, yeah, in the beginning that sucks, but $150 a month, come on, it's not that much. And I can assure you, by doing those things in the beginning, you're going to build your practice so much faster than you would by just kind of trying to cobble things together, right? But I would recommend, if you're interested in reading a book, The E-Myth Revisited.
Get the audio version.
It's great. The audio is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Sorry, yeah, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, I know. I completely agree with you. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about LePay. Where did that come from?
So LePay, I guess talking about how to find a business name, super hard, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to find something that also. Sorry about that. I went into my head for a second there, so I completely forgot what we were talking about for a second there. But I wanted
Good.
to talk about something, so it sucks. I wanted to touch base about that, but
If it comes back, just abandon ship on one train of thought and hop on the other one. It's all good.
Yeah, I guess that's being an entrepreneur. Your mind is always running off into a bunch of things all the time, and I guess like talking to you, I can see a lot of similarities. You're constantly thinking about the next thing. What can you do? How can you franchise stuff like that? So yeah, cool. So with the name LePay, I'm Métis. When I started, like when I was younger, I didn't know what being like Métis meant, and a lot more nowadays. I try to get back into the heritage with it. Michif is the primary Métis language. I think it's around I think is their language. I say primary, but I'm pretty sure that is the language that they speak. LePay in Michif stands for peace. So I think that's how I found a way to incorporate it into it, and that's another selfish way, because people will be like, oh, trying to get me at peace. It's like, no, it's more for like me to be at peace. Like, just kidding. But it's for just like, I find massage peaceful. I find like it's peaceful for them. It's peaceful for me. Massage, like relaxation massage when you're not talking. It's nice. You kind of get to zen out too, right? Doing assessment. Useful to get to know people. So with the name, you got to find something that sounds cool too. So LePay is like, it's marketable. I think it sounds unique. You don't know what it means. It's like saying Nike or Adidas. It has a meaning behind it, but you don't really know what it means. So I've always thought about like when you franchise too, like if you ever get into I just made a t-shirt. So
yeah, I dig it. I like the font, right? It's got that serif look, and the sound of LePay. It sounds primo, like it's got a good sound, a good vibe to it. So great choice.
Yeah, so I did that mainly for myself. I wanted to pay homage to like the Métis Nation. They've helped me with, you talk about like getting a business loan to start the business and things like that. I've been beneficial with the opportunity to be, and for anybody else that's Métis and going back to educating people that are listening, I got funded through the Gabriel Dumont Institution. Gabriel Dumont was the second in hand from Louis Riel. Louis Riel was the person who got Métis people like their rights in Canada. So Gabriel Dumont Institution helped fund me to go to college. So while working like a part-time job on the weekends, you're allowed to work 20 hours a week, I believe, because they wanted you to continue your studies. They paid for my tuition. And then when I graduated, they gave me like a $500 gift to say thank you. And then I applied for the pathway to entrepreneurship. So what they offered with that was for 3 years, you would get $10,000 every year for professional services, whether it be accounting, web design, anything like that. And then once it accumulates to 30, that's for the rest of your life. Like you can use that $30,000 type of thing. And then every year you would get $10,000 for professional development. So that's how I was able to take the strategical planning or strategical marketing course, the financial literacy course, the digital marketing course. I'm also taking a professional management certificate through the University of Regina's continued education for professional management. So that has 7 courses that are like 14 hours each. It's super cool stuff, but you get certificates for all of this. And I think the coolest thing that you talked about too is like getting into like the business side of it. Like a lot of people can take these continued education courses, which I did, like the shiatsu, soft tissue release, kinesiology taping, sports massage therapy, those. But then you can also, because you have to use that for your continued education points when you're with an HBC or MTAS with Saskatchewan. When you do a business course, that gets put towards your continued education points as well. So it's super cool to expand your business and then also not have to take like a redundant course that you may not be interested in.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, I'm curious as you hear that. One of the questions that I ask everybody, and it seems like a great segue to bring it into, is you've taken all sorts of continuing education to build your technical skills, right? Your good orthopedic assessment. But the question then is, what makes a good massage therapist? What leads a massage therapist to be successful? That's a better way of putting it.
Okay. So in my opinion, so with the strategical planning course, they got me to make what's called an elevator pitch. And I suggest people that want to work on their business also do this as well for new entrepreneurs. Something that you can pitch to somebody in the elevator if you wanted to talk about your business to kind of make it seem like, so they know exactly what you're talking about. So, and I think that kind of answers the question at the same time. So my pitch is real client therapist communication using assessment-based massage therapy to find the root cause of dysfunctional pain. Now, the real client therapist communication is the biggest part of that. If you're doing assessments, but the client needs to have a relaxation massage, like you have to know that and you have to deliver that, and you can't be greedy, and you can't have counter transference or transference. Like you can't have prejudgments. You can't do anything other than care about the client's well-being and dysfunctional pain, whether it be stress or muscle. Care about the client. Do it for the client. Also take care of yourself. I see you're in really good shape. I'm just getting off of having to watch my daughter at home. I won't get into that story with the childcare situations, but she's in a childcare center, licensed childcare center now. So I'm back to working my regular schedule, back to the gym, back to eating healthy. You dads out there, it's a struggle. You put on the extra 10, sometimes. So being in shape. So even if you get into a habit where you run into a situation and you have a family, or you work stressful and you may not get out on walks or go to the gym as much or get the body that you want, keep up with your daily routines. Do your ranges of motion, stretching, do your self-care. Make sure, because you're using your body a lot. So a good massage therapist is a massage therapist with a long career, because if you're going to build this clientele list and you're going to start changing people's lives, you better be able to be there to change their lives. Right? Take care of yourself. Yeah,
I dig it big time. I love that answer. And I like your idea of this elevator pitch too. I've heard it called a one-liner, like what can you say to somebody in a breath or less than a breath, where you get the point across and they know exactly what you do. So it starts with client communication, assessment-based. Was that it?
Yep. Real client therapist communication.
Real client.
Based massage therapist to find the root cause of dysfunctional pain. So finding the root cause of dysfunctional pain. That's the thing that really gets to me a lot. I have this book. I'm going to grab it here real quick. I keep it in my clinic, and I think this is the part that I always make sure my clients know that I'm not ever trying to BS them. If I don't know something, I'll pull this book out in front of them and I'll look at it, and then we'll go to the chart together and we'll do it. And whether I have to say, hey, I'm going to go over 5 minutes on your appointment, I'm embarrassed, but I'm going to have to pull the book out on here because I want to know what your problem is. Finding the root cause of dysfunctional pain. If I do my assessment and say they have a downwards rotation restriction, and in my mind off the bat, I'm like, oh, I can't remember what the downwards rotation restriction muscles are, I'm just going to wing it. No, I'm going to go and I'm going to look and find out what those muscles are. And then we're going to do the treatment based off that to find that root cause of dysfunctional pain. Assessing is important. I think one of the biggest things that people forget about is reassessing. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not assessing, you're guessing, but if you're not reassessing, you have no result. You don't know if it worked, if it didn't work. And I think one of the things with my clients, and going back to me being a client back in the day too, is I have this problem. I have muscle pain. I don't know anything about muscles. I know you're going to talk jargon. I don't care. Fix me. I think that's the biggest thing. Fix me. I'll do whatever I
Yeah.
have to. Fix me. So if you're going to educate this client on what to do, you have to be able to put them on this progressive treatment plan as well. So
Mm-hmm.
re-educating them is super important. Doing the assessments, reassessing to prove that it works. And then if the assessment shows and the pain is still there, it didn't work. So say to them, and I think it's important for them, that's what I was getting at, is the reassurance that, and I've said this a lot to my clients, like, you may not get results today. We're going to try to, but what you are going to get today is somebody who cares, and someone who's going to
Mm-hmm.
take the notes, and someone who's going to put the effort to find the problem, whether it be 1 treatment, 2 treatments, 3 treatments, being referred to somebody else if I can't find it, but starts today where you have somebody on your side. I'm here for you, right? That
Yeah.
kind of, I think that's super important, and that's the personability that massage therapists can offer to people, because that client's going to leave like, okay, like, I'm going to do these stretches. I believe in it. As they say, like 10% of people will do the stretches. But if you really drill it into them, we're going to get this problem fixed. We're going to do it. You show the assessments. You give them the stretches. They show you the stretches. You can do this 30-second stretch. That's all I want. Once a day. Come on,
Mm-hmm.
do it. And
Yeah.
promise me, right? I think that, yeah, massage is so cool. And we can help so many people.
That's another skill that you just got into as well, right? Like, my opinion is the overall, again, we're talking specifically about people with an injury, the overall efficacy of a treatment at best, at absolute best, is 50% on the table. The other 50% is what they do at home. But my opinion is the majority of the time, it's 25% on the table. Like, we're there to identify the problem, get the body into the point where it can facilitate change. And then a huge part of it is their home care, which one might think, like, isn't that actually more physiotherapy than massage? And I disagree, because physiotherapy, you go there to do the physio. So client compliance and getting clients to actually do their home care, it's such a massive part of our job that nobody really talks about. But even your attitude right there, I almost saw like this inner coach come out of you, like you're rooting for them and you're on their team, right? That's a skill to convince people some way or another, or work with them to the point where they actually are willing to contribute to their home care and follow through with the treatment plan. Because that's the kicker is if they don't, they're going to come back next week and they'll have improved, but the improvements will be so marginal. And then they're like, hey, you're not good at what you do because I'm not improving. And it's like, well, it's because it's actually all you. And that's a hard
Yeah.
conversation to have too.
What I say to clients is, I say, like, we both have a job here. You're not getting paid for it because you just get to lay on the table. But my job as a massage therapist is to find the problem, not only to find the problem and treat based off the problem, but to convince you that change is possible. So by looking into the mirror, so I have a giant mirror on my wall, and it is for assessments. It's for myself to stare at myself while I massage. Also, just kidding. But it's to say, like, look, you see that you have this medial rotation of your GH, or this upwards rotation of your scapula. You can see that you have this unilateral tightness in your neck. When you do your range of motion, you can feel the restriction in the active motion. If you do it passively, you can feel that. I don't do as much resisted for weakness as much as I used to, but so you can see this stuff. And then when you treat and you reassess and they see, oh my God, my shoulders are equal. My shoulder is back. The numbness and tingling, if you do like a thoracic outlet syndrome assessment, and find that specific muscle for that numbness and tingling, and you treat based off of that and it goes away. It's like, okay, my job was to assess and treat, and now you know that these are the muscles that create this dysfunction, and you know that if you stretch these muscles, you're going to reenact and intimidate or do the same thing that I did in this treatment room. So that's going to continue the progression every single day throughout the week. If you don't, then it's going to stop the progression. By all means, I'll take your money because I love money. I love helping people. Love money more. I think that goes back to the selfish part. Like, if you don't want to do it and you want to come here, like, I'll massage you to the point where, it may get to the point where I'm like, all right, you're just not doing your stretches, and ethically, I can't just keep on draining pockets of money. So, and I think
Yeah.
that's one thing that people forget is that whether it be with direct billing or, charging people money, because it does cost a lot. I don't know how much people charge for massages. I charge $100 plus GST.
Mhm.
So that's for the hourly rate. And, and I think the reason why I do that is I think about how much effort it actually takes to actually help somebody. And I think like, okay, if you want to, uh, physically, I think I could do a lot more massages if I didn't have to do as much talking and educating and assessments and
Mhm.
mental strength as well. Because I think at the end of the day, sometimes you're like, oh my God. And then your wife's like, I got this little thing in my shoulder. And if I could just show you, and you're like, I don't want nothing.
Oh, tell me about it, man. Like Brienne, massage therapist, me, massage TCMD, right? Like once upon a time, very early on in a relationship, we had massage Mondays, and it just so happened to be that that we didn't have a lot of going on at the time. Our practices were slow, and we're like, yeah, we'll commit to this every Monday. We'll just switch. That lasted like 4 months, and that was what, like 3 years ago or something. So it's very much the case when you do get home, and it's way interesting because I have had the practice where it was a lot of just relaxation, not really any thinking, and I got to the end of the day and I was exhausted, but it was like a drain, like, oh, I'm drained. And now I'm exhausted at the end of the day when I see a lot of clients, but it's like a cognitive exhaustion, right? Because similar to you, it sounds like when we're in that treatment room, I'm there. Like it's all in for that 45 minutes, hour and a half, whatever it is. And I think that speaks to the results. But again, that's choosing the type of practitioner you want to be and choosing the type of clients that you want to attract, right?
Yeah, and when I'll talk about two things quickly too, but when you look at if anybody sees me on TikTok or any social media, when they see that and they see like this personality and they come into the clinic room and they see right away that I'm like, okay, no, that's cool. Like on TikTok, it's fun to talk about all that stuff. We're here to fix your problem. So and it's personable at the same time, but we're down to business. Like we're down to
Mhm.
your muscle problem. Once it's all figured out and we're relaxed, and then we can get back to it. But I think it's weird when they see that switch. It's still friendly, it's still kind, it's still positive, it's still good, but it's assessment based. You're paying to be here, so I want to make sure that you get your money's worth. I want to make sure that
Mhm.
you're getting your problems fixed. And then one thing with social media too is I talked about how I have two separate accounts. One thing I learned early on is separate those accounts. Whether it be you're doing a trend on something that's harmless and you get banned for it and you lose all the stuff that you lose from your social media. Um, Marketing is a huge thing when you're trying to create your own business. And I
Mhm.
think that if you can find a way to self promote yourself, referrals are a big thing, but to get those initials is the biggest thing. To get that initial appointment, one referral can lead to 30 referrals to 100
Yeah.
referrals. A good massage could create your whole business on one person, depending on who it be. But to find those people sometimes are hard. And I know that when I was working at the clinic I was at before, I wasn't in an environment that fostered growth or like going out on your own whatsoever, right? Or like new ideas or anything. So like when I spoke about, yeah, I'm gonna go work by I plan on just creating I talked about my dream forever, right? Like all throughout college, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna go, and no one's gonna stop me. And when you talk about that, they're like, no one's gonna come see a dude in the basement. Like that's just not gonna happen. No one's gonna come here.
Right.
It's not gonna, and you're gonna be broke, and don't invest in yourself. And because when I created this clinic, it cost me an arm and a leg. It was right before lumber prices went up, but still like creating a
Mhm.
room and not really knowing what you're doing and trying to create a quality room too. Like, yeah, it cost me like $15,000 to get started
Not cheap.
just for the room. But then when you think about sheets, because you have to get like 40 sets of sheets if you want to be busy, your anatomical charts, your table,
Hmm.
your computers, your programs, like everything, your square systems, like everything. And then the biggest thing when you start your own business too, or your own company, is you make all these subscriptions and you sign up to all these things, and now they're a monthly cost. Do you have a sustainable business? You don't know, right? So
Right.
you open
Totally.
your doors and you're like, well, I hope that money starts coming in. And I think that it's nerve wracking for me because I wasn't like a fully like sustained assessment based massage therapist that I told myself. And when I was doing TikTok, when I was building this room, I had like 47 followers. My views were 12 and 3. And it wasn't until like And if you look at the videos that I took on my Facebook building the room, I have videos that I took, and those are the only ones I kept. The worst quality you could ever think of, right? So like this personality that I've created, this confidence on social media has been from staring at my phone and talking to people through it, or doing ranges of motions in the morning, or talking to people through TikTok live about their assessments and their dysfunctions, and then having them come in and doing the assessments. So yeah.
Yeah. Can we actually, as we kind of wrap up here, I want to talk a little bit about that practice, because you have built a successful TikTok account, right? And based around massage therapy. And I think it's a really great way for people to build their practice. So if you were to like right now, knowing what you know, if you were to start a fresh account, like right from zero, you're maybe fresh out of school, or maybe not, like, but you're going to start a brand new TikTok account, Instagram, whatever, social media account, but we'll focus TikTok. What is some solid advice to grow the right following?
The right following is the biggest thing, and I think that's why you separate the two. I have on my personal account, I posted videos of me just like videotaping people at Cabo. I went to Cabo in August with my wife for our honeymoon, and the waves there are vicious. And I just posted some videos of people like risking it with the waves. And like you get like 12.8 million views, 5.7 million views, you go up like 4,000 followers overnight. Like stuff like that can always get you followers. But when you look at like the quality of the followers and who are they, it's not a community that you're building. So it's more of like the thrill of looking at, oh, I got this many likes and stuff. But when you look at the massage therapy community that I've built around on with the massage TikTok that I have. And the reason why I separated that is a lot of the people that follow me in there, and I talk to a lot of people on there, are other students, they're other massage therapists, they're other people that own businesses, they're clients. They're people looking to get massage but aren't looking to become clients, or other cities and stuff like that. So I think one of the biggest advice that I can give to people is be consistent. You can't start something unless you're going to do it full tilt. If you're going to take a break, be ready for the numbers to go down. So with myself, I brand dealed with a couple people. It was Zamit Health. It's like a ice pack health, like a ice pack for migraines over the head. I believe in a lot of like cold therapy. I
Mhm.
love a lot of ice packs and stuff like that. So I branded with them. They paid me like $150 to do one TikTok video for them. Another one for like a cervical pillow. They brought it in. I did a review for them. I told them only if I think it's like okay, I'll do a review. Otherwise, I'll just send it back. And I thought they were okay. So doing stuff like that's cool. But the biggest thing that I did was I just partnered up with one of the local gyms in the city. And it's one of like, if you've heard of like a lot of like the social media stuff, it's trending. So like Zoo Culture's a gym, and they have a lot of nice equipment, and they have a big following. And this gym's very similar to that. So I branded with them. So when I do some of my TikToks, you'll notice that I'm at the gym sometimes talking about proper ways to work out. And I know that I'm not trying to be out of scope of like, this is how you get stronger. This is how you stay away from dysfunctional pain. This is how you can notice muscle tightness, stuff like that. And getting that
Mhm.
deal is super cool, because then you can get people sharing your stuff. And even doing that, like the clients that you get like nonstop, oh, so and so from the gym sent me, and it's like nice.
Right.
And you
So it sounds like not only is partnering up, but finding the right partner that is very much in your niche, right? So you're working on people with injuries, and let's face it, people going to the gym, they got a lot of injuries. So that makes a lot of sense. So from the sounds of it, consistency, that seems like step number one, be consistent about it. Step number two would be kind of find your niche. And if you can, partner up with somebody else who's in that similar niche, and you could sort of co-create. Yeah.
be yourself and just be patient. All it takes is
Uh,
like on my massage page, it took one video getting 7 million views, and then all of a sudden, because it was within the niche, the video, that's why I stay within the niche. Because it was within the niche, when people looked at so that one got 7 million, and I had 10,000 followers at that point, and I got 20,000 followers from that 7 million view. But it's because the people that saw that were liking the same niche. So when they saw my profile, they were like, I'm going to follow. But when I have the video on the other page that I have, the personal one, it's some random thing about the ocean, 12 million views, only 4,000 followers. So it's like
mhm.
you want to stay within your niche. There's a lot of things you can do on TikTok to look. I'm not going to act like I
Yeah.
know a lot about how to do it. I think
I
I
mean,
got.
it's a whole thing, right? Yeah. Just
Can I
figuring it
ask
out.
you? Can I ask you something? Because I
Yeah.
really like your personality. You seem very personable. I really like your vibe.
Yeah,
When
thanks.
you watch, and be honest, I
Yeah.
take constructive criticism okay. So don't keep going. When you watch my TikTok videos as a healthcare practitioner, what do you think? And I'll tell you why.
Uh, yeah, I mean the information from everything that I watched, I mean, I didn't go through all of them, but everything I watched, I'm like, hey, this is factual and it's entertaining, but not like necessarily goofy entertaining. Because for me, goofy entertaining is just like I'm just not that interested in it. But no, I enjoy them because of that. It's this
Yeah.
balance between entertaining and informative, and I think that's what social media is to be successful. You have to be entertaining, I think, first and foremost, interestingly enough,
Yep.
and then educational on top of it. But
Passion. They can see passion from a mile away. You'll never be successful at something you're not passionate about. You can't fake passion. You can
right.
tell you when I'm talking to you, sometimes I start smiling because I think about it and I'm like, oh, like there's like when I say massage is fun, massage is so much fun. Anybody that wants to be a massage therapist or you're in college, wait till you get out into your practice. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love the clients. We never talk about the clients. You meet wonderful people. They talk you up so much. My job is spending, oh, you're amazing, you're the best, you fixed my problems, I hope you have a wonderful day, don't tell such good things, I was talking about you. And you know, it's so you get boasted up all day and you get to listen to good music and you get to be a healthcare professional, which is really nice in Canada. They did that as well. So, and the reason why I asked that is you never, I think the one thing I always think about if you're going to do social media, and the reason why I take these digital marketing courses is you never want to say something that may not be factual. And you know, I've been to conversations with other therapists on there where they say, you know, you shouldn't say that because it could perceive as this, and to have the integrity to say, you know, do agree with you a little bit. I'm going to remove it, even though it has 20,000 views. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to post something that I think is, and I think that's why the struggle. What kind of content do you put out? Because there's a lot of modalities, there's a lot of opinions, and I think being positive is the best thing that you can do. Don't be negative. I used to be, I've tried the negativity side of things. It doesn't get you any positivity. You want to be positive. You want to talk about the good things of life, good things of massage. You want to try to help people, talk about that stuff instead. Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, it seems like a great place to tie everything together. So that was a great chat. I really appreciate your time, Dryden. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.